Hello there. Let's talk about some Norwegian. My name is Ben Thorud, and I'm going to be teaching a little bit about Norwegian. Um, and let's just go ahead and get started. So Norwegian in general is a North Germanic language, and there's about 5 million native speakers. Population of Norway is very close to 5 million. And just for comparison, if you compare the population of the United States, it's 328 million people. So that's quite a bit different. And Norway is the only place in the world where there are native speakers of Norwegian. Okay, so Norwegian comes from, initially Norway was independent back in the Middle Ages, and the language they spoke back then was Old Norse. This is the same language as the Vikings, but they joined Denmark back in the year 1300, around, or in the 1300s. They joined Denmark, and Danish kind of made a big influence into how Norwegian was spoken. So there's no standard spoken rules. There's many dialects, and I'll go into more detail about the two different written forms of Norwegian. But anyways, Norway became separate from Denmark, but then under Swedish rule in 1814. But then Norway finally gained its independence in 1905 from Sweden. So that's more when they decided to revisit old traditions of language and try to get away from the Danish a little bit. So now here we look the two written forms of Norwegian. There's Bokmål, I think I'm saying that right. I don't know for sure though. Book language, which has much more of the Danish influence, and then there's Njorsk, or New Norwegian. It goes back to Norse influences and more traditional dialects. And if you look on this chart thing, you can see the differences. You can see how similar, like Njorsk versus Bokmål, the book language, both of those very similar, but like there's slight differences between the two. And yeah, the Norse is more traditional and tries to go back to the old Norse traditions. And then here's just a map about showing some of the different regions of Norway, and then there's plenty of different dialects based on if you're in the western portion of the eastern portion of the northern portion of Norway. This is just kind of just for a good visualization of Norway. And the Norwegian alphabet, I believe, the interesting thing is that, to me, I've studied Spanish a bit, and this seems very similar to Spanish to me, like A, B, C, D, but obviously there's subtleties and different letters that we don't quite have the same, and it definitely has some Germanic influences. So here's some common expressions or phrases, such as ufta, which has carried over to Scandinavian American traditions. My family likes to say ufta, but it's interjection response to literally anything, usually something unpleasant. And hello is very similar. Hallo, or there's many different ways to say hello. Goodbye, yes, no, thank you. All these different ja, ne, tak, I think. Let's move on. So then you can see this O with the slash is a very unique thing to Norwegian. It sounds like kind of like a O sound, I think, O. Kind of like in the name Bjorn. And I think Swedish doesn't have this O slash. It has like an umlaut with two dots above it, I believe. But some other words like Saturday and Sunday and turtle skilpad, I think. So something that's very hard for English speakers, I think, especially for when I was trying to learn this, is the symbols that are completely new to me, like this AE conjoined symbol and the O with the slash and the A with the dot, or long words such as train station, which I'm going to completely butcher this. Jernbanestation. I don't know for sure if that's the right way to say that. But I guess I'll wrap up now. This is just kind of an interesting thing also, so my last name Thorud is Norwegian in background. And the Rud portion goes back to Old Norse. I did a little more research into that, and the Old Norse term ruo, meaning clearing. So the meaning of my last name is Home of Thor, or like the clearing of Thor, which is kind of cool. But I really like looking back at the traditions of Norway and looking into the interesting ways that the language has changed with influences of Danish and trying to go back to Old Norse traditions. But it's a really cool language, and I hope you guys learned a little bit more about that. Thanks for listening.